Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Doctor Who's coming up. Now, I have to admit, I have not been a big Doctor Who fan. I saw the show in repeats when I was a kid on ABC ABC channel in Australia when I was growing up. I think it used to be on Sundays. I know my brothers used to grow up watching it and they had some sort of reverence for it. Um, they were aware of how crappy the production was, but they still loved it, and I thought that was interesting. But I looked at it and thought, ugh, what crap! I'm not watching that because I was spoiled at that point with expensive sci-fi movies and stuff, and I didn't appreciate it. Now, I since have encountered all the controversy with, because like all the other franchises, it's in a controversy. When they cast Jodie Whittaker as the female Doctor, there were a lot of problems with the show and a lot of drama, and I sort of wanted to get involved in it, but I didn't know anything about Star Wars, so I had to start researching it. I found a bunch of documentaries. I got a bunch of the DVDs from the library, and because my library actually had a lot of Doctor Who DVDs, because apparently cheap people who like library DVDs like Doctor Who. But I didn't want to spend a lot of money because there is about 20 seasons of the show or something. From 1963 to I think 89 it went, or was it 64 to 89? It was about a year or two before Star Trek it started. And it started off as a kids' educational show where this doctor would basically go back in time and show them this is what happened in Rome and this is what happened in blah, blah, blah. And they did sci-fi shows. And then they were really popular. And then they made it all about sci-fi. And it became very popular. They didn't increase the budget, but it became very popular. And people liked the stories and didn't care that it wasn't great effects. The aliens looked really, really, really bad. But you loved it because you just did. So I got that. And I did a bit of research. I started looking into it, and I have to do more. And I still haven't watched the 11th season. I haven't seen Jodie Whittaker's performance. But what I have heard from the criticisms are there are genuinely some sexist people who just don't want a female doctor. There are some genuine people who just don't think the Doctor should have been changed because they didn't need to change the Doctor and it really has nothing to do with sex. Those people are in the minority. But most people, the complaints seem to be, and I'm not sure if these are accurate, the problem is they didn't just, and I've mentioned this in one of my videos, but I haven't done a proper video about this. Basically, they didn't just cast a female as the Doctor and then keep the show running like normal. They basically did a soft reboot and changed the show, and it really hurt Jodie Whittaker because that got attributed to her and her character and her Doctor Who, because apparently this last season was very much like more of a drama, and a lot of people sitting around talking. I've heard there's some infamous episode or infamous scenes where they're all sitting in a coffee shop talking about stuff instead of actioning stuff and doing stuff. I don't know if this is an exaggeration or if it's true. I've yet to see the whole season. I'm going to sort it out in the next, because it's airing in a week or so. I think I have to try and sort it out before then. There's not a lot of episodes. I can do it in a day. I can watch the whole series in a day. And the couple of criticisms which are not sexist, and if they are real, are legitimate, and people have a right to this complaint. The other complaint was that it was all about gender politics, and the stories just involved basically white men being blamed for things instead of actual like aliens and fun villains that are very much, outside of society and outside of our current day politics, and that the biggest villain was disappointment, and they didn't use a lot of the villains that Doctor Who would normally use. And the other complaint was that they basically, and it's weird because I thought of, in relation to this, I thought about Jadzia Dax in Deep Space Nine. Now, while that's one of the worst Star Trek shows because it goes against a lot of the philosophy that Star Trek was about, and it's all about war, and I don't want to go into that. I'll do a video on that one day. When I've sufficiently articulated all that properly so I sound like I know what I'm talking about and I don't sound like I'm just hating it for the sake of it. Jadzia Dax had been men and women, and the core of her being was the same strong person that had feminine and masculine elements because she had lived both, and she'd been both, and she seemed to be in touch with both sides of herself. her femininity and her masculinity. Jodie Whittaker, when she became Doctor Who, the Doctor suddenly, from some people's perspective, was acting like a girl. She, and this is stereotypical, which is the problem, that it is stereotypical. She was indecisive and weak, and she had to ask for help, and she wasn't just kick-ass and I'm the Doctor, I'm taking charge, I'm saving this, because I hear the Doctor, and I need to watch more episodes, is scary. He's you like him, he's fun, you feel that you're on the journey with him and he's going to take care of you, but you also know that he's dangerous and he can end things if he wants. So I've yet to see that. I only saw some Tom Baker, and he seemed really nice and fluffy, and something about a guy with a big boof of curly hair and a giant scarf didn't seem particularly threatening to me. So I'm not sure what they're talking about. But I hear she doesn't have that. She doesn't have that. She didn't bring that to it. And she did the character a disservice by playing it like a girl, like a stereotypical weak girl, not being a strong woman or a strong character that just happened to be in a female body. So if these are real, these are genuine criticisms, and these are mistakes that the show has made, along with, apparently she never refers to herself as a Time Lord. They basically stepped away from a lot of the lore and a lot of the characters and tried to sort of make a different different Doctor Who with this show, and that really was the wrong time to do it, because people are already adjusting to the Doctor, and they also have to adjust to a different type of style of show, different type of story, and the people who complained about that and not liking that element of the show, it's all been lumped in with the couple of people who didn't like a woman being cast. So, and that's unfair, and this is something the media is doing in general with all franchises. If you don't like it, and if there's a female character or a black character or a gay character, oh, you don't like it because of them, you're racist, you're sexist. Even if you're a woman or you're gay, you still are a racist, homophobic person, and we don't need to listen to you. You need to just, be eradicated. Everything that's wrong with society, it's all your fault. You're the enemy, we have to hate you. It's just that us or them, mentality, and Doctor Who's no different. Now, I have to research this myself, because I don't know for sure if these complaints are legitimate, but they sound logical to me, and from the little bits of footage I've seen and the elements of the story I've heard about, it does seem that they went in a different direction, because my understanding was with Doctor Who, I watched the first year or so after it was rebooted. That's the most Doctor Who I've ever watched. I had a friend who loved it, the Angels, all that stuff. I saw some of the first year. What I hear is that some American companies got involved with funding it, but they also expected it to be very action-orientated and more like the original Doctor Who, but with basically a better budget and better production values, which it sort of was. And that sort of became the new modern standard for the show. And this show stepped away from that, and people aren't happy with that. And yeah, so and people the social justice warriors are going crazy, because I met a social justice warrior. He works in a shop called Play in Melbourne. I don't know if I should say this, but I'm not saying his name, and it could be anyone who worked there and ever has in the history of man. But he was saying that everyone, the only people who don't like the show are haters and sexist, and that the ratings all went up when they changed the character, and they're all haters and liars, and it's the greatest show ever, and he basically attacked me, and I'm afraid to go back into the store now. He basically kicked me out, because at some point after he ranted, every week I'd go in and we'd end up talking about Star Wars or Star Trek or something, and he'd go on some rant, and I'd literally be trying to edge my way out the door and get out of the conversation, and I couldn't really do it. I tried to be nice about it eventually, because he's talking about me. He's saying, people who don't like Discovery, people who don't like Doctor Who, people who don't like Star Wars or have a problem with this character or them killing Luke or whatever, they're just sexist, racist, misogynist people, and they're trolls and haters and neckbeards. The first time I'd ever heard the term neckbeard came from him. And he was talking about me indirectly, because I had some actual legitimate problems with some of these shows, not because I'm racist or sexist or misogynist, but because there are issues, especially Discovery. There's a million problems with that show. And I'd finally defended myself and said, that's really not the case. I can say that because I know myself that that's not my reason for hating the show. It's something else. And he attacked me. I literally had to he told me to F off out of the store basically when I disagreed with him. And I really don't think that's the way you should treat customers. So I didn't go back for a month or two. I used to go there every week and buy stuff. I might go back every now and again just to see if there's anything that they might have that I want. But I'm quite happy to buy stuff online. A lot of the time I would shop there just out of loyalty because they're a small store, and I didn't want to just do the Amazon thing. And obviously it's quicker, I don't have to do postage, and sometimes the price wouldn't be too bad. But now I don't want to support people that act like that and treat customers like that and think like that, so I tend to not shop from them anymore. I wouldn't. You can, feel free, but I don't really want to. But that's where I learned about all these dramas, basically from interacting with that person, realizing that, oh wow, these social justice warrior people that I hear about are just as bad as the haters. They're just on the opposite side using the same tactics. I don't want to be either of them. I want to try and find out, be in the middle, find out the truth, do my own independent exploration of the truth, trust no one, find my own truth and facts, and go from that point of view instead of jumping on someone's bad wagon and following them. So that's what I'm going to try and do with Doctor Who. And this is a long video. I've made a bunch of long videos today. I keep trying to make short ones, but I just keep talking. But this is about the whole of Doctor Who, my whole experience with it, and the current situation now. There's an article that's come out. I know it took a long time to get to it. Basically, they've come out and said, well, we sort of did this for season 1 of our Jodi Whittaker show, but now we're going to go play with all the other toys in the sandbox because we have the freedom to do now, which really does sound like them saying, well, we kind of have to go back to what Doctor Who was, because some people weren't happy with how far we strayed. That's how some people are interpreting it, and it sort of sounds that way. But I need to watch the show myself to make sure exactly where this sits, because I've been misled by a few people. I listened to some people about the She-Ra show from Sky... DreamWorks. And I watched it, and it had some issues, but it wasn't anywhere near as bad as they made out. It's quite watchable. Once you accept it's a kids program, I was fine with it. And a lot of what they said was just exaggeration and hyperbole and just negativity for clicks. So I really try and avoid that and try and make up my own mind about things. So I'm going to watch Doctor Who, and then I'm going to watch the Doctor Who Jodi Whittaker season and see what I really think of it, and judge it from that. But in the meantime, I'm just going to watch how they release this next series, how it varies, and how people respond to it. Because if it really is that they departed too far from the character and the show and how it normally runs, and they go back to that, then the audience is going to come back. And the whole point of mentioning that guy was, one of the things he stated was that the ratings were higher, and I'm hearing that the ratings dropped with Jodi Whittaker's series. Now I'm going to research all this, and these are facts. You can't make this up. Either the ratings went up or they went down. Either he's wrong or the other people are wrong. So if you investigate it all, you will find the truth. So I'm going to go off, find the truth, and come back with an update with what's happening with season 2, Jodi Whittaker season 2, which I don't know what season of the show it is anymore, because some people count the show from where they restarted it, and it's like that was season 1 and now we're up to season 11, but really it's like season 30 or something. I don't know. I'm going to go. I talk way too long. No one, but who cares? No one's going to watch to the end anyway, so I can talk. I can say whatever I want. It's a good thing about being not monetized and having no audience. Basically, I can say whatever I want. I don't have to care what people think. Yay! It's got a good side and a bad side. But yeah, feel free if you stayed this long to like, subscribe, or comment. Comments are fun. Thanks, bye.